Alrighty, hi everybody. Of course, Google has another update or upgrade, and it is on Nano Banana, and it's now called Nano Banana Pro. And what can it do? Well, first of all, what it does is it makes presentations for you. So I actually created a presentation myself using it, and I like it, so I'm going to use it. And then, so what I did was I created this in Notebook LM, and it used Nano Banana as the base of creating these visuals. And so what I did in Nano Banana is I added, I think, 3 sources. And so I added Nano Banana Pro Gemini 3 image model from Google DeepMind. And then I read an article on SynthID, which is the kind of the watermark process. And then I read the Gemini app gets new image verification features, which is also about synth app. And anyway, so actually made some really nice stuff. It came up with the title itself, which is nice. I went through it a little bit. It looks like it's reasonably accurate. I think I only saw maybe one flaw that I spotted in one of the drawings, but that's about it. And so part one, new era of creative expression. Again, introducing Nano Banana Pro, the state-of-the-art image model built on Gemini 3 Pro. And see what can it do? So it can create visuals. And so when you go to the sites that I looked at, there's some links, and it will show you some of the prompts and some of the ways that they created these images. And so this slide presentation pulled from those articles, and basically it shares the prompt down here. And so this is the only one that I kind of think is a little misleading because it says prompt create an infographic about this plant focusing on interesting information. So the prompt either had a prompt prior telling you which plant or it had an image attached. But the other prompts were pretty reasonably expected that they were correct, or at least there wasn't something prior to or another prompt that started the conversation. This prompt says create an infographic that shows how to make ilachi chai. And then so I did something similar. I actually did create a visual of the NASA X-59, and this is what it created. And so this is a really nice, I won't call it a full schematic, but it definitely did what I was expecting, and I think it looks reasonably correct. And so that's some of the stuff that you can do already. And then the font or the text part is that it excels at rendering everything from short taglines to long paragraphs directly in the image. I didn't do an example of this because I'm not creative enough to come up with something without using one of their prompts. And so I think this one with the cans, it had a different language on it, and the prompt asked it to create the same image with a different language. And then this one is a picture of Berlin. And so it asked Nano Banana Pro to integrate Berlin into the building. And then you see these two. Now, it also, one of the features is you can achieve high fidelity visuals and character consistency. So this example is, hey, you can put a bunch of images into one and make one single image or composition. So you can put all these people in here. And let's see, I think this person's probably supposed to be this person younger. This person's probably supposed to be this person. It's missing this person. This person might be this person. This person might be this person, and then the doggy. So this poor lady was left out, but it's probably supposed to be this one, which shows you a little bit of some of the challenges that Google still has. And then the 5 people maintain the consistent identity and resemblance of up to 5 individuals in a scene. So that's, you see more than 5 in here, but it does make them consistent. And so you do see one Bert, one Ernie, little Ernie, and then you see some of the other guys that I don't know their names of. Studio quality controls for professional grade results. So this is the part where people don't realize prompting can be a skill. And so when you learn how to communicate and you learn or you know the technology needed to get a better image or a better result from AI, you are in a skill set that not all of us are in. And so this one, again, says studio quality controls for professional grade results. So these are some of the controls that you can modify or use in your prompt to get what you want. And so you can adjust the camera angles, you can apply sophisticated color grading and lighting transformations like change of day. You can create dramatic effects, and you can generate in multiple aspect ratios and up to 4K resolution. Now, so this is an important one because if you are on multiple forums about AI, especially about image generation, you will see many people are frustrated with the fact that when they ask for a specific ratio or a specific resolution, they don't always get that. And there are tricks that people have learned to try to make that work, but that will be a definitely a pleaser for some of the community. And then the next part of this is about trust and transparency, and that's the watermark or some framework that helps people understand when things are AI generated. And that's where SynthID comes in. And so SynthID is specific to Google products. So it is out there, but if you try to use it on a Chat GPT or a Claude or Perplexity created image, it will not necessarily recognize it because they don't also use the same process or framework yet. So there has to be a common framework or everybody's going to be putting images and stuff into multiple uploads. And so basically this just tells you that there's a watermark and that it remains detectable even if you try some of your common modifications, which is, you can try to crop it out. I think that's what most people do because it's usually on the bottom corner of some sort. You can add a filter or lossy compression. And so it still recognizes it. And then so it also talks about it's across all modalities. Now, I didn't find anything that actually proved it was in all modalities yet, but maybe I'm just not doing it right. I could prove the image part. I did not do the AI generated audio or the AI generated text. But if the AI generated text can be recognized and it is 100% accurate, where if it has the identifier and or it says, hey, I don't know, that would be great because this would probably be highly beneficial to people in the education and research industry. All right, so anyway, so it does do that, and I did test this, and let me see if I can find my images. So again, this is one that I created, and oops, wrong one. Oh, here we go. So what I did was I asked if it was AI generated, and it took a little while, and it said yes. It said the image is AI generated. Digital watermark confirms it was created using Google AI. Depicts a schematic of the NASA X-59 Quest. Diagrams include labels for parts such as nose cone, blah, blah, blah. And then I found a picture of when I had a flat tire recently, and I asked, is this one AI generated? And it says, no, this image does not contain a SynthID watermark. So that's the important part right there, is it says it does not contain a SynthID watermark. But it doesn't necessarily mean I didn't build it in ChatGPT, but I personally know because I took this picture. It also has given some information. Like another giveaway is that I didn't change the name, where the other ones I changed the name because some of them said created by Gemini. And so it does say, says follows the standard naming convention for photos taken. So it's telling you, here are some of the reasons why I think it might be authentic. Visual details, textures on cladding, blah, blah, blah. And so it appears consistent, realistic without typical AI distortion. And the subject, it depicts a silver Honda wheel on a vehicle with gray plastic fenders like a Honda Element. Note the tire looks significantly underinflated or flat. That's kind of funny. And then I said, well, I've been reading about Nano Banana Pro. So let me see if I can merge these two. Because remember the one where you could merge up to, I think it was 5 or 6. So can you take 14, I'm sorry, it's 14. Can you take this photo and make it a realistic image of the X59 and take the flat tire from the second picture and put them together so the X59 has a flat tire? And voila, it did it. Got a nice little flat. It's a little bit bigger than the other tires. And this is a pretty nice image. Notice the cockpit doesn't have a window, but you know what? I don't know if the Quest 59 actually has a cockpit, a glass cockpit. So, I'm sorry, a window, not a glass cockpit. It's different. And then so, is this, and so then I said, is this AI, is this image AI generated? So it generated the image. I put it back in exactly the way it came to me, still got the regular watermark, and we just did this together. And this is what it did. It said, yes, this image is AI generated. A digital watermark confirms that it was created using Google AI. So it's this one and it's the SynthID. Also, I created this picture for you just moments ago. So visually you can tell because it combines two unrelated objects in an unrealistic way. A high-tech NASA X-59 jet would not have a flat Honda car tire on the landing gear. So that's kind of interesting and kind of fun. Alrighty, so that's that. Let me get that back out of the way. And let's get back to here. All right, so it says that you can put the verification directly into your hands, and so you can upload an image into the Gemini app, and that's what I did. And you can ask, was it created by Google AI or is it AI generated? And I just demonstrated that for you. And so transparent and tiered approach to watermarking. So now it kind of explains it. We'll go over it just a little bit. So for broad awareness, for professional creation. And so there is an important concept behind being transparent and honest about how images are made. And it could be anywhere from, just acknowledging that you used a tool. And as life progresses, I'm sure that that acknowledgement may not be such a big deal anymore. But there are people that are going to be out there that don't necessarily agree with using tools for everything. And then the other part is the more sinister side, which is if you are going to use these tools, people want to know that your image has been manipulated by AI, sort of like when people wanted to know if images were manipulated by like Photoshop. You want to be able to recognize that someone is trying to deceive you or hurt someone or embarrass someone. And so watermarking or other ways of recognizing what tools have been used or how people have created things is important. So for broad awareness, we will maintain a visible watermark, right, like this, on images generated by free and Google AI Pro tier users to make them even more easy to detect as Google AI generated. So it's interesting because it doesn't mention their third tier, and I can't remember the name of it. It's Ultra, I can't remember. And then for professional creation, it says to provide a clean visual canvas, we will remove the visible watermark from images generated by Google AI Ultra subscribers. So it does mention it. And within the Google AI Studio developer tool, these images are still protected by the imperceptible SynthID watermark. So basically, if you pay for Pro or you use the free tier, this watermark will be there, but also the SynthID watermark will be there, the digital mark. But if you are in a Ultra account, if you're an Ultra subscriber, that logo, that watermark won't be there. But you still have the SynthID, so people will still be able to tell if it was AI generated. It just won't be an obvious visual. So, and then this breaks down the open ecosystem for content authenticity. And so this basically says that there's a C2PA collaboration, talks about the future water roadmap. It says how to access Nano Banana Pro today. So that was a quick jump on that slide. I should have noticed that before. But anyway, so this tells you how you can access it. So consumers and students rolling out in the Gemini app search. So they're rolling it out in Gemini app. They're rolling it out in search, and Notebook LM free tier users receive, let me start all over. Rolling out in the Gemini app search, which is for AI Pro and Ultra subscribers in the United States, and Notebook LM, period. Free tier users receive limited quotas. So you have limitations, so you got to watch those numbers. And then professionals, upgrading image generation in Google Ads, rolling out to Workspace. Customers in Google Slides and Vids. So this is telling you that upgrading image generation in Google Ads. So if you have that capability, rolling out to Workspace. So if you're a Workspace user for like an enterprise, maybe even a school, customers in Google Slides and Vids. So if you have Google Workspace through an organization or an enterprise, check and see if you have access to that today. Developers and enterprise. So this is the one that talks about the Gemini API, Google AI Studio, and now Google Anti-Gravity. Enterprises can build in Vertex AI today. So rolling out Gemini API, Google AI Studio, and Google Anti-Gravity. So when they say rolling out, it could take a while. So just because your neighbor down the street has it and you don't have it, unfortunately, you might have to be a little patient. And creatives, rolling out to Google AI Ultra subscribers in Flow, their AI filmmaking tool. So this slide and that website that I will share with you in the description tells you who has access to it. And let's see, so it says true innovation requires progress on two fronts. So we just talked about that. That's the Nano Banana Pro, and also the transparency through SynthID. So learn more and start building. So this is one of the slides that I had a little bit of a problem with because, well, this is a PDF. These links are not real hyperlinks. They look like hyperlinks, but they're not. And you know that in PDFs, you can make them active hyperlinks. And then I tried to use the QR code, and the QR code is also not an active usable QR code. And if you look closely, although I have not scrutinized it bit by bit, it actually looks like they use the same QR code image for all of them. I could be slightly off, but I think that's the same. So that's the only ding that I would give Google for their updated Nano Banana Pro, because I made this in Notebook LM, which is one of the ways you can use it, and I am on a Pro account. So that is Gemini app, search for AI Pro. And it did not, that was the only thing. So that's not too bad. And then this one I'm going to play with more because I do think that I think most students probably use ChatGPT, or a lot of them do, but Google Gemini is getting a lot of attention. They're doing good stuff. And if this works and you are a professor, or if you're in a research field, or you are in a field where you want your students or your employees or whoever not to use AI generated text, this may help a little bit. Because again, this is only for Google products. It's not for any of the other platforms. And this is kind of cool though. So there's a lot of cool things you can do. Hope you like it. Thank you. See you later. Bye-bye.